and go.
Walk, don't run. Use the handrails. Walk, don't run. Use the handrails.
Neon Temple simulation reboot in progress. Live stream initiated. Stabilizing environment.
All right, here we go. We are back. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Welcome to another Guild Night. If you are not here, you should be here. That's what we do this for, right? Networking, community, learn new things. Quick few updates from me, and then I will hand it over to this guy to let him talk about some cool stuff. If you've tried to check out the YouTube channel lately, you might have noticed there's a little whoopsie poopsie, and it is gone. Yes. So what does that mean for us? Absolutely nothing. It's a bit of a headache on our end. For you guys, if you have some saved playlists or things like that, they probably don't work anymore. The good news is pretty much all of that content we have backed up between several guild members and Chris and our social media specialist, Mia. So all of that is going to slowly start repopulating on the new channel, which you guys should be able to find from the event details tonight. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Yeah, big shout out to Vakanaut on that one and his paranoid self and having everything backed up. But that problem is solved, solution is in place, and we are slowly rebuilding that library. The end goal is going to be once the new guild website releases, we'll have a library on the back end of that as well, so you won't have this problem again.
Oh, are you talking about how I fucked up?
Well, I didn't blame you, but
yeah.
You just did.
Well, we fucked up.
I used the collective we, yeah.
Yeah, you hit the big red button.
So yeah, that's all done, water in the bridge though. The monthly Hack the Box night next month, you're going to throw the details and stuff up in the channel here soon, right? Yeah, that's what I meant, next week, not next month. The week after that, Kraken News is back again. They're going to be talking about some pretty interesting things. I've been kind of creeping in the channel and watching what they're talking about. I think you guys will enjoy this one. If you liked the first one, it should be a similar style, so come check it out. As far as content goes, we are full up for April and May. We are starting to look into Prepper Month and July. So if you've got a cool idea, something you do at home you want to talk about, some crazy gardening, water saving, whatever it happens to be, that's what June is for. It's to help you survive the storm season coming up. Let us know. Outside of that, we're looking for content for July and August on all your hacker fun stuff. If you guys don't show up, which you guys have been the last few months, it's been kind of nice. It's been a little easy. I've been fighting for slots. Me and you are like double booking each other on the calendar.
Accidentally, and dude, like the new format we're doing is kind of good.
Yeah, it's working out well.
I like it.
So all in all,
being nice to RJ was one of the better ideas we had for that meeting we had at the Smart Bar.
There we go. But yeah, so all in all, that's really all I had for you guys. Any save rounds, questions, concerns? All right, I will give it over to NetworkJedi then.
Thanks, Trey. Appreciate everybody coming out. I'm going to give a talk about Android application that I built recently, and we'll kind of get into that here. So, title of the talk is Exploring in Private. So a little bit about me. I've got a few certs, not a whole lot, but a few. Background, I spent multiple years as a network VoIP engineer, starting in 2016 officially, transitioned into InfoSec in 2020, and worked my way up to management. Here's my LinkedIn if you want to check it out. And my real name is Nathan Tackett. AegisNav is the application that I created. Shoot.
You were actually the first VoIP engineer I've ever met. Could you talk about that for 30 seconds?
It is
That's
horrible.
fucking fascinating because you actually had to do something to walk into InfoSec instead of like 50% of the people here.
Yeah, so VoIP engineering is a pain because any kind of latency, any kind of jitter, anything going on the network causes massive issues, and that's part of the reason why it was kind of easy for me to transition into cybersecurity, because I had to learn Wireshark and tools like it in and out, because I had to review those packets going across the network when we set up customers, and that was basically my job as far as networking, or as far as VoIP goes. I was the person provisioning it. So yeah, that's how I got started officially. Name of the app is Aegis Nav. Aegis stands for like a protective shield of Zeus and Athena, I believe, or like a protective breastplate. So that's kind of where I came up with the name. Okay, so what is it? Who and why did I create this app? It's basically a privacy-focused app. I noticed some interesting stuff about some other applications that I'll get into later, but you know, the focus here is privacy in general. It works completely offline once you download the map data. There are limitations with Android and with the way how large you can compile an APK for Android, so I couldn't put the whole United States on there. It just will not work. Your phone would be extremely slow. It just will not work. So I did it state by state, but you can download multiple states and switch between those states in the offline state. Eventually, I would like to make an online state or an online mode, but that's for a later talk potentially. Right now, I wanted to start it purely offline. And well, data. This app gives you the data, not the corporations behind most of the apps. It gives you better awareness of your surroundings for things like such as ALPR, which is like automatic license plate readers, and the surveillance surrounding that, as well as potential stalkers. And we'll kind of get into what that means here in a little bit. So who is this for? It's security researchers, people who do things like red teaming, who may need that real-time awareness. Also, real estate agents, specifically part of the reason why I built this is because my wife recently became a real estate agent. So if anybody needs any of those services, let me know. And I wanted her to be aware of her surroundings a little bit more, in a sense of like, is somebody following her? Potentially after she leaves a place, or, is somebody following her to multiple places? Because she's not very big. She's like 5'2" and 100 pounds soaking wet. So, it's one of those things I wanted to give her a tool that is usable enough, but not overwhelming. And that's kind of part of the reason why I came up with this idea, because there are all of these tools that are in this already exist. They just exist in separate forms of each other, and I decided like that's not conducive of the average person being able to use an application like this and get and use that data in a manner that they can understand. So that's kind of where I came up with it. The other thing, if you're worried about stalkers, journalists potentially, for their awareness of different things. Preppers, people who are off the grid travelers, education about modern surveillance. So in short, if you're the kind of person who already installs custom ROMs, uses Graphene OS, which I do actually, runs Pi-hole at home, worried about AI destroying the internet potentially, or expect World War III to end poorly, as it currently seems to be going. Get annoyed every time your phone asks for permissions, then this app might be for you. Okay, so the claim about ALPR reduces crime. This is one of their own studies that I pulled up, and in short here I highlighted a few things. Basically says that it's more for investigations than it is prevention, which is kind of obvious, right? Like, how is a camera going to stop a criminal from committing a violent crime? It's not. It's only going to let you know where they are, maybe in a slightly faster manner than normal police work would go for. So that's kind of why I got the meme here of like, well, you know,
No face,
Only-
no case.
right. So, and even when justice is served, we can see sometimes it is just not served. Let's see here if I can move this. Cool. Okay. So I'll talk about a few of these here real quick because some of these were just like crazy to me. So we're trying to catch these criminals, but then what do? 4 days later, released for fatal stabbing. 9 days later,
What city?
that is in Austin.
Yep.
Another one in Gary, Indiana,
Yep.
released 9 days after a police officer was murdered, attempted murder. Syracuse, New York,
Yep.
first degree, the grape word, to be compliant there, was released immediately just because of bail reform.
That's New York, dude.
Yeah, it's New York, right, yeah. What do you expect? Louisiana, armed robbery, released 2 days later. And here in Central Florida, in Orlando, a
Oh. Yeah, the old Monique Worrell special there.
yeah,
She's
so
training out there.
they were released 2 days after arrest as well.
Oh,
So
Mr. Rao.
it's nice that we catch criminals, but can we at least keep them in jail? Especially if they're violent criminals, like that'd be great, you know. Otherwise, what's the point of even arresting them? Like what are we doing here? And there you go, right? Yeah, non-violent crimes. That's right. All right. So, how does privacy in public work? It's kind of interesting here, and this is part of the reason why why it is allowed to have all of these cameras up everywhere. But on the flip side, it's the same reason why I am allowed to create an application like this. So, with the good comes the bad, right? That's just the way the world works most of the time. So basically, when you're out in public areas such as sidewalks, parks, streets, there is no reasonable expectation of privacy. Anything that can be seen with the naked eye or audibly heard without any kind of like enhancements is completely allowed. So basically, anything in plain view, and yeah, any conversations that can be overheard. Where it gets kind of interesting here, though, is when you start getting into automated systems. So the way the current law works, preface, I am not a lawyer, so anything I say, go do your own research, talk to a lawyer. I'm just going to leave that there.
You know the acronym for that?
Nope.
I am not a lawyer.
Oh, yeah, okay. I've
I anal.
I got it. Okay. Okay, so one of the things that they say is where a warrant needs to come in is if it's prolonged comprehensive tracking of movements, those require a warrant for law enforcement to do those things under the Carpenter, under cases like Carpenter or United States v. Jones, which is like a GPS device on a car. Another thing is like filming and photography in public. So those are completely allowed, even if you do not consent to it. So if you're out on the street, you can be filmed, but you can also do the filming. And that's, again, the reason why these camera systems are allowed to be out and allowed to be prevalent. But one thing that I find is interesting, again, from that same study that I pulled up from a law enforcement study, this study was in, I believe, Atlanta, Georgia, if I remember correctly. But one of the things that they put in here, which I thought was really interesting, is all entrances and exits to scan every moving vehicle in and out of the city's jurisdiction. So they're just permanently affixed there, and they're scanning all entrances and exits. I don't know if that means prolonged and comprehensive, but it kind of sounds like it. Just saying. Again, I'm not a lawyer.
I have another question about that.
Shoot.
So, I mean, in a lot of ways, you know, especially with flock security being bigger now, and then governments investing into these kinds of systems, that because our tax dollars pay for it, we're able to, you know, access some of it, or we should be able to access and request those records.
You can't.
Yeah, you can't. Is there any flock safety camera tracking built into the app? I know I used it a little bit, but
There
just
is.
off the top of my head. Okay.
Yeah, it's not. So the database I downloaded is from EFF, and I'll kind of get into that as well. So they have a database that is available that has all of the locations for all the known cameras on there. But I also added another. This is again where I combined multiple things together. There was another open source repo that I found that was called FlockU, and it looks for these cameras based off of the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth signals that they sometimes emit, because they have like certain backup batteries and different things like that that they just leave as default. So I grabbed that as well to throw that in here to look for new cameras. So if it's not in the database, it will find new ones. It's not, again, I'll get to this, but it's not 100% perfect, because if they don't have a signal, there's nothing to capture.
Is there any like reporting feature for that? So if my phone finds one around here, will
Yes.
that update for every other user?
No, because it's offline right now. So once I get to an online version, I would like that to be a part of it, though. And you can report, like self-report right now, and add it. The way to do that on the application right now is to pull open the map and just press down on it, and then you can like add a camera there, or you can also do that to navigate to a location if you don't know the address. This is a extra FYI. But yeah, so that's kind of how privacy in public works. Any questions regarding that? Those are good questions, though. Appreciate it. Yeah, everybody's free to jump in and help me extend this as long as possible. So who are these violent criminals we're trying to take down? This is some information from EFF and 404 Media that I found recently. Says a thorough analysis of 10-month nationwide searches of the Flock safety servers. EFF discovered there are more than 50 federal, state, and local agencies ran hundreds of searches through Flock nationwide network of surveillance data in connection with protest activity. Look, if they were violent protesters and they damage stuff, by all means, I'm not for that kind of stuff. I just want to be absolutely clear about that. And please stand on the side of the road like these fine people right here and say whatever you want. Just don't get in the road. And don't destroy stuff. Pretty simple. Absolutely believe in the First Amendment. Okay, another one, Georgia State Patrol used, this is very recently, like as you can see, just a few days ago. So yeah, Georgia State Patrol used its system of Flock ALPR surveillance camera to issue a ticket to a motorcyclist who was allegedly just holding his phone in his hand as he was driving, and they considered him as, using a, what do you call it, like an electronic device while operating a motor vehicle. Go ahead.
So that means either the optical recognition on the Flock cameras had to have recognized the phone on a moving vehicle, or there was a person behind that camera looking to see, oh, hey, there's that guy with a phone.
Correct. Yeah.
Both equally suck.
Exactly. And it gets into, this is no longer for violent criminals. Now we're getting into petty traffic violations.
Well, that's a feature, not a bug.
Well, of course. Exactly. Yeah, we're getting into a point where it's no longer about actually catching real criminals, and that's again why I kind of threw the criminal thing in there, because I'm like, let's catch the real criminals and actually put them in jail for a long time, not give people tickets for holding a phone in their hand. Like that's a bit silly to me. All right, privacy matters. We have the Fourth Amendment. It's a great one of the greatest amendments we got, even though it is the fourth. But I'll just read it out here real quick to everybody. So the right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrant shall issue but upon probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized. Pretty self-explanatory, very detailed. Again, does not apply to you in a public situation. And that's where some of that breaks down a little bit. Another great quote that I absolutely love is, because people are always like, oh, you just care about privacy because you're a criminal. No, not at all. I do not support criminal behavior, just to be completely clear. But this is like one of my favorite quotes. It says, I need privacy not because my actions are questionable, but because your judgment and motives are. And that is very true. And that particularly goes into play when laws can change over time. And if they have a permanent record of whatever for all of eternity, are they going to go back and get you on something that wasn't even a law before? Those are all pretty valid questions, in my opinion. Some other interesting, this is again where the privacy breaks down, and there was a person, let me see, where were they at? They were in, I forgot where they were. There was a person where their license plate was misread. This was a little while back, but the camera system mistaked a 7 as a 2, and the car that license plate was reported as, the vehicle was reported as stolen. So this person got pulled over, got put at gunpoint, and obviously they were interrogated over this because the law enforcement officers, thought that they were driving a stolen vehicle. And obviously a valid reason to pull somebody over, but the point is that if things can get misread by these systems like this, and law enforcement is not doing exactly what we all say to do here with these AI systems, to double check it, don't just believe it right out of the gate, then there's a problem here. They need to do that secondary check and make sure that the information that they're getting is actually accurate, because a situation like that could easily be, could easily lead to an injury or a death. Anytime a gun is drawn, that's a dangerous situation. Go ahead.
I hold the mic.
Okay. Did you see the one where a woman in Tennessee, I believe, was arrested for a crime in like North Dakota?
Yeah.
Never visited the state, but AI flagged her as the criminal, and when you went and looked, they weren't even close to being the same person.
I think that was a different camera system, though. I don't think it was an automatic license plate reader. I think it was like facial recognition.
Yeah, but it's terrible.
But yeah, and that's exactly what I'm talking about here is, a secondary check needs to happen. It's just, in my opinion, mandatory. Go for it.
I think it's also note that at least with Flock, they are not just standard ALPRs. They are doing other forms of image recognition
Correct.
To identify vehicle make, model, driver, identifiers, etc.
Yeah, those camera systems particularly can recognize like scratches on a vehicle, dents, multiple things like that, stickers. If you got bumper stickers on your car, different things like that. Yeah, so they are a little more detailed than just a pure license plate reader. I'm trying to stay clear of names of companies because I don't want any issues. But you're good. No, multiple people have mentioned them, but it's fine. I've got them listed in here as well. I prefer to stay away from.
I'll say it. Flock can suck a fat chode.
There you go. He said it.
They're lock the gates here.
Another one, this happened in Fayetteville, which in North Carolina, which is interesting because this is where I was actually stationed at in the military. Yep, Vietnam. This was a person who, again, I believe this was a stolen vehicle.
Fucking army.
Yeah, there was let me see here. Parking lot, handcuffed, interrogated. Yeah, oh, no, they believe that this vehicle was involved in a shooting. So they arrested this lady in a parking lot, handcuffed her, interrogated her for hours, again, because they got the wrong vehicle. And this is, again, there needs to be more due diligence. So now we'll get into kind of war driving. Oh.
What the fuck? Does that say what I think that says?
It might. I just thought that was a little hilarious to throw in there. If anybody knows, I'm sorry you know this, but Anyways, so war driving, what is it? Is it legal? This is the definition I grabbed from
Shield your eyes, RJ.
from Wikipedia. War driving is an act of using wireless equipment to passively listen only for broadcast signals that can be used to identify equipment. It's basically the equivalent of driving around and marking on a map your neighbor's house numbers and mailbox, numbers. It's no different than that. Again, this goes back to that public privacy aspect. If it can be visibly seen, then it can be recorded, and that goes for broadcast signals as well. Similar to like tuning into a radio station, you're allowed to tune into a radio station. Where it is not legal is when if you were to interrupt those signals in any kind of way or try and disrupt them. That's where you're starting to get into some legal issues. So you're just merely logging those broadcast addresses. You're not interfering in any kind of way. How many people have done war driving at all in here? Just out of curiosity. Okay, cool. So I'm not the only one. Okay. My map does what? All right. So part of what also gave me this idea is probably the map you're using right now already is grabbing that data. You just don't get it. And that's where I'm trying to give it to you. I'm not trying to take that data myself. That data doesn't leave your phone in any kind of way. Again, the application works completely offline other than when you go to download the actual map itself. That's the only time it reaches out, and it reaches out to the GitHub database, and it uses a SHA-256 to verify what you're downloading is correct. So you're not going to be able to download something erroneous, and it points right to that repo. But Google Maps and Waze already does this. They do this to provide better accuracy for your actual location, especially in areas where GPS can be spotty if you're in, say, like a bunch of tall buildings or different things like that, and there's a bunch of obstruction in the way to reading a proper GPS signal. That's where it comes into play for them. I will say I'm not using it to that degree because I don't have the whole world mapped out like they do. But that is their use case for it. But again, you don't get access to any of that data. They just collect it all for whatever they do with it. All right, so the app. How am I doing on time? I'm probably a little fast. Yes, I'm a little fast. Okay.
You're doing great.
Whew. No, I only got a few more slides. I'm not doing. Okay, I'll slow down a little bit. Any questions so far?
The idea is not to lengthen it out.
I got you.
You don't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
It takes how long it takes, dude.
I got you.
Just like marriage.
Okay, so here's kind of how it's working in the background to give you that situational awareness. It's using Bluetooth, like Bluetooth Low Energy, and Wi-Fi signals. It's listening for Bluetooth advertisements, Wi-Fi advertisements, particularly for things like air tags, tiles, smart tags. There is an application, again, this is where I'm borrowing from things, but there's an application called AirGuard, I believe, that does this as well, but it's a totally standalone, independent application. It just tells you that there's one of these devices near you, which is cool in some sense, but how many people are going to actually use that in any kind of way, other than just like general curiosity, or you're trying to find your car keys or something that it's attached to? Probably not very many people are going to use it specifically for that. So how would you know that somebody's actually like stalking you or following you around or has you tagged in some kind of way if you don't use that application, right? Again, this is where I kind of got that idea, because if my wife is doing real estate and somebody throws one of these tiles in her car,
I know iPhones, I know with AirTags and tiles, it'll tell you if there's an unrecognized AirTag or tile traveling with you.
Yeah, I believe iPhone just recently added that.
Yeah, maybe like last year.
Like the last year or so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Android does not have that though, so that's part of the reason why I did this. Huh?
The Badger says it does.
Oh, it does.
Yeah, Android does have a thing now, or at least Samsung phones do.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. That's a new thing I'm not
Samsung?
aware of then.
Okay.
Got you. Okay. Interesting. So the other thing this is doing with those signals is I'm tracking persistence and the relative strength of the signal. And I'm doing that to track like tailing behavior. So it can be a little noisy if you're in traffic because it's one of those things that if it's tracking over time and distance to correlate those signals and also the signal strength to know which signals are like following you around, right? So if you're in a pack of cars, it's going to show up. Very likely that those cars are around you. Again, I have some, so what I did to compensate for that is I have a confidence score that's attached to each one, and the further and longer a device is following you, the higher the confidence score goes. Don't have the exact math right here in front of me.
Confidence that you're being stalked, or
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
Confidence that somebody is following you in general. Because I figured that's like, it's really tricky though to do this. That is one thing I will say when I like doing this application. I realize now why there's like only one company in the world that's doing maps that's really widely used, because it is hard. And then when you add in a tracking component, if you think about it, it sounds, okay, well this would be easy to do if I'm like somebody's following me across the state, right? Like that's easy to know, hey, this is a high confidence score of, this person followed me for hundreds of miles. Where it gets really difficult is when you get into a situation where maybe you only traveled a mile or two. Then it becomes a lot harder to tell, like how confident can you be that somebody actually followed you for that distance? Go ahead.
At what confidence level does your app alert somebody? Like, is there a threshold or?
75%.
Okay.
Yeah. And then the way I have it alerting is I need to, again, this is something I want to refine and do a little better right now. But right now it just kind of flashes red around the map to show you that like somebody's following you. And then you can go look at the history of it to see who that was.
I mean, if I'm driving, I'm not going to be able to see that.
No, and that's the reason why I did like a red flashing strobe, because I don't want to obstruct your driving, right? I'll probably do a notification like thing at the top or something to come down at a later point, but since it is a navigation, app, I have to be conscious about like not obstructing your driving view. Because if you're coming up on an exit and then that pops up right in your way, that's going to be a problem, especially for a lot of people.
Or you might get a ticket.
Or that, yeah. You're
saying the phone's in your hand.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
What do I have to do, or how hard do I have to, if you're using the app, how hard do I have to ride you in order to reach that 75% confidence threshold?
It's pretty far. I think the lowest confidence threshold I have is about 5 minutes over 5 miles. It's like somewhere around there. And then once it gets further, it's like, I think the highest is like an hour and over 100 miles or something like that. Yeah.
When does it reset? So like, let's say
every session.
What do you mean every session?
Like every time you close the app and reopen it, it'll.
Okay. So like let's say somebody's following a real estate agent or something who has this app installed. Okay, so they stop at one house. They're there for 30 minutes. This person's waiting outside, and then they decide to go to another house and go there for 30 minutes. If they close out of the app, then that'll
reset it. Yeah.
Okay.
So then it would show up as two like maybe medium levels instead of like a high confidence level at that point.
Is there any function? Is there any functionality to make it so you can manually set, this person, say you have like a known stalker.
Yes.
All right, this person instantly alert me when, you see this.
Thank you for that question. That brings up a good point. So in the app, and I'll show screenshots of it here when I get to the end. But in the app, underneath those, underneath the tracking history, you can, or the threat history, you can click the drop down and it will show all of the MAC addresses that were in that group following you, or just the individual MAC, and you can hold down on it and you can either add it to an always alert or you can add it to an always ignore. Another feature that I added when you first start up the app the very first time, I have an initiation like wizard that scans all of the Bluetooth and Wi-Fi around you for about 40 seconds and gives you the option to immediately add those all to an ignore list, because you don't care if your car is following you, obviously. You know, you kind of expect your car to be following you if you're in the thing. So I kind of did that again to try and, how do I say this? Make it easy to use for the average person.
Well, I was going to ask, why did you decide on 40 seconds?
Just to make it quick. Anything longer than that is going to cause issues, I feel like, with an average person, for it to just, because it's going to, I mean, if you're sitting in your driveway and you're in like an apartment complex, you could see hundreds of devices show up pretty fast. Again, you're probably not going to care about most of those. And you can either select all, or you can select individually for the people who are want to get that in depth to know exactly which devices those are. So it does both.
Yeah, so in the hypothetical, like if you know you're waiting outside, somebody's at the house, and you go, oh, that I know that person, they're kind of weird. I can have it always alerts. So then, you know, like say, like you said, you go to another house and close out of the app, it'll still alert you even if you do close out.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, because that goes on a permanent like alert list.
Okay.
Yeah, so I have both an ignore and an always alert list.
So I see that you're doing device identification based on UUID from the MAC address.
Yep.
You also mentioned that you're doing it with rolling MAC addresses.
Yeah.
Is that, I wasn't aware that rolling MAC addresses respected that portion of the Bluetooth.
It is a little tricky.
Okay.
It's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, and again, that's the reason why there will be false positives. I'll just come out and say that right away. You know, anybody who's done war driving will, you know, you can see really quickly how noisy devices can get. They can get very, very noisy.
If you don't realize it, there's
Yeah.
shit going around.
Yeah, there's a ton of signals that are around you all the time. So yes, it works decently. It's not perfect. I forgot exactly what I did to implement something like that to try and track that better. I'd have to go back and look at what I did.
Fair enough.
But I did add an additional feature in there that tried to at least attempt to do that.
Yeah, an attempt's better than nothing.
Exactly. Yeah. Because I had the same issue. I mean, I wear an Aura ring and it does rolling, so that's kind of what made me go like, okay, I need to figure out how can I track this thing to ignore it.
I guess I've never paid much attention, but with the rolling, does it still respect that first 2 octets?
It depends on how the rolling is happening, and that's where the tracking that I did for it is trying to look for those. But if it doesn't respect that, then it doesn't matter. Yeah.
What in the app can I customize? So let's say you say 70% confidence is a good default, but let's say I'm super stressed out right now. I'm a journalist. I just got a bunch of threatening emails. I want to lower it to 25% because I'm super paranoid right now. Can I do that in the app?
Not currently. That is something that I would like to get into. Again, that's very. It gets very tricky when you're talking about how long and how far is somebody going to be traveling when they're using the application. Because again, if it's only a mile, that's a lot different than tracking over hundreds of miles. So that's I would like to fine tune that a little bit more, and that's part of the reason why I did an alpha release and haven't done a full like public release yet, in a sense of like putting it on the App Store. It's because I'm hoping all of you fine people will help give me feedback like such and allow me to kind of go through and shore it up to a standard that would be acceptable. Because I know right now there's a few issues, and I'll kind of get into some of those issues as well later on.
Holy crap.
Cool.
What you got going on?
Any other questions though? I'm loving the questions. Like seriously, how many people have used the app so far? Like even just opened it just for like 5 minutes, just so I can get like an idea.
iPhone
Okay, so
user.
at least 2. Okay, cool. It's all good, all good. Cool. Well, at least a few people have. You have too? We got a question. Okay, go ahead.
Does it have directional detecting? Like, can you figure out where someone is when they come in range?
So, okay, yes and no. It doesn't have complete directional detection because you have to do triangulation for that. So the best way that I came up with kind of doing that is scanning over a period of time, like a short period of time, and then calculating the the relative strength of the signal based on those like points in time and distance, and then it triangulates it based on that. That's mainly for the police detections. Right now, I don't really have that for like stalking detections, as far as because the stalking detection does give you a location of where it was picked up at as far as a coordinates goes, but I don't have it currently like marked on the map in any kind of way. I would like to do something like that, but again, that becomes really tricky because some of these devices are extremely noisy, and if your map is full of just signals from that, it's going to be really annoying really fast. A feature I might add later on, kind of like what you were getting into about being able to turn certain things on and off a little bit more. I do have it to where you can turn off the, it does have like TTS right now, to where, you know, it does like text to speech. So I've got a few like things in there that it will announce, like if there's like if there's someone following you as well. But I think that's only limited to 100% confidence. And that's usually tied to a known signature like an AirTag or a tile or something like that. Again, over time and distance though as well. So.
Have you considered, because I remember you saying that you're kind of trying to split the audience between non-power users, people who just kind of want this thing to work,
Right.
and power users.
Yes.
How are you doing that?
So I haven't done the split yet. My plan for the split though is I actually just hopefully I get it today. But I just ordered a software-defined radio that you can, hook up to like a cell phone or whatever, and pick up additional things like drones. I would like to add drones to this eventually to track those as well. So if there's like a drone flying near you, following your car or something, you'd be aware of it. That's kind of one of those things I would eventually like to get into. The other thing I would like to add for power users, and I'll probably make that like a paid thing, just so I can get some kind of money back for the time and effort. But I'll probably add a feature that where you can dump all the logs in the back end in like a CSV or something. That way you can play with it in your own map or whatever. And also, what is it, KML, I believe, is the format that Google uses for their Google Maps. So you could dump it into a place like that as well. So you could see all those signals across another map application.
Yeah, Fake Jeremy said WaggleNet. I'm even just thinking for these core features that you have right now, because, if my mom downloads this and she's worried about her neighbors in the trailer or something like that, she might not want to mess with the features, where if I pull something like this, I want full access to be able to just mod everything, tailor everything.
Yeah, makes sense.
Disable stuff. And I imagine, like, Unify, you're a Unify user, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so they do something really cool with settings where here's the core stuff you can do. If you're an installer, is the term they use, but power user, then you can enable additional features and tailor stuff, but hey, caveat emptor if you screw it up.
Yeah. Like I said, I'll probably do that through like a paid version. If you want the additional features, that will be where you got to pay for it. I feel like, because again, time and effort and cost for me to build it. Yeah, that's kind of my idea behind that. So I want to give both options there though as well. Yeah. I'll probably, some of the options I'm going to make it for regular users as well. Probably some of the tailoring as far as like how noisy it is. I'll probably allow regular users to use that as well, because if you first actually use this and drive around with it, and I do actually drive around with this already and like use it pretty regularly, especially if I already know where I'm going. If it's somewhere I don't really know where I'm going, I might use Waze or Google still, but mainly Waze. But yeah, that's just because again since it is completely offline, the maps are from OpenStreetMaps and is relevant to the time that I downloaded them, about a month ago now. So there's going to be some obviously differences when construction happens or roads close, change, different things like that. That in an offline mode, I just can't give you. It's just not possible.
How hard does this nuke battery life?
It drains it okay, so that is one thing I did have to add for the newer versions of Android, because I actually built it for Android 15 and 16. Mainly 15 because I have an old phone here which I'll pass around that everybody can like see the app and use, play around with it, which I guess I could probably just start that now. I'll just start it over here. You just play around with it. But so on Android 15, Google was a lot more lenient about how often they allow for Bluetooth and like Wi-Fi scans to actually take place. So it's pretty aggressive actually. Like if you're actually using a tool like Wiggle, for example, to go war driving with your phone, get an older Android. Don't do it on a new one, because the newer ones limit how often the scan can take place. I think it's like it's like 5 times every like 30 seconds, I think is the newest version. Did you have a question?
No, I was going to say, I think it depends on the protocol. I think the default rescan on Bluetooth is 10 seconds.
Yeah, it's something like that. Yeah, but it's like limited to like 5 every 30 or something like that. It's like the max. So what I did was in Android 16 to kind of get around that is I added a toggle. If you're on Android 16, you'll see the toggle. On Android 15, you will not see the toggle because it's just full blast on Android 15. But on Android 16, I added a toggle for the basic default that Google kind of wants you to use, and this will save your battery. And then I did a maximum that it hits the limit as far as what scanning is allowed over Google's maximum time period. I forget exactly what it is, to be honest, but I did try and maximize it as much as possible for those who are really interested. And part of the reason for that is because for things like police detections, like police equipment detections, obviously if you're getting that a minute late, it's probably a problem. But at the same time, I will say do not use this to try and evade law enforcement, because it is not good at that. It's just good to let you know that they're in the area. You might want to use one of the other known map applications if that's your goal, because it's just because it's also looking for those Bluetooth and Wi-Fi signals, and if they do not have any of their equipment on that it recognizes, it's not going to pick them up. And there's plenty of times I have driven around by them that they do not have that equipment on in any kind of way, and they do not get identified. Go ahead, you got a question?
I will say I noticed about 3 months ago. I will say I noticed about 3 months ago that a certain license plate reader, which will not be named, that at least in my area over in Pinellas.
Does it rhyme with cock?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's crazy. I don't know how you did that. That at least I was war driving for their Wi-Fi signals, and they were all gone. They were all disabled, at least in the area.
Yeah, I have noticed that actually. That it depends on do they have that on or not. It's not perfect. It's not bulletproof. This is again just more for awareness, right? For what I can provide. It's the same as like if you have like a radar detector or something. If they do not have their radar gun on, there's nothing to detect. Like nobody can help you in that way. It's just not possible.
I mean, you can detect their body cameras.
If they have it on.
That's right.
Yeah,
Those are
right.
Badges at DEF CON.
So I actually just messaged Bosch about that. I think the guy fucked us.
Yeah, because I never got
mine
he
either.
never sent it to me.
Yeah.
I sent it.
I got mine
How'd you get yours?
through the mail.
I didn't get mine.
Yeah, it's been almost a year now.
Did you respond to the email some months ago?
I didn't get a fucking email.
Oh, well, they asked for finalization of mailing addresses.
I got one follow-up email
Yeah.
and then nothing.
Yeah, check your spam.
Yeah, wow, the guy fucked us. Yeah.
No, he's got it.
I didn't even go to
So
that party.
there was a badge at DEF CON that was supposed to, as we were sold, this thing will detect the BLE for body cameras. We show up at DEF CON, we get like badge, like we essentially just get a PCB and the guy says, oh, a bunch of stuff messed up. We're figuring it out, we'll get it to you tomorrow. Tomorrow comes and he says, well, I still don't have it figured out, we'll get it to you in 2 months. Apparently, you know, he likes fake Jeremy, but you know, me and Short Round, we got fucked, so.
Well, this app might come in handy for you then.
Yeah, right.
Because it does legitimately work.
Does the app tell me where that guy is so I can kick him in the balls?
No, unfortunately, I am not tracking anybody, nor do I want to.
Huh? Do you work at WireGuard? I don't work. You know where I work.
So why don't you check your email?
Because it didn't come to my email.
He's got a question up here.
Didn't come to my email. Okay.
So what I'm reading and hearing is pretty much the use case is for while you're driving, but you also mentioned like for stalking and things like that. So of the examples that you brought up, say you have somebody in your apartment complex that is pretty close, you do that, you're an average Joe, you do that initial scan of 40 seconds, but because that person's in there, your apartment complex, you don't want to remove those.
Right.
Do you have like a range for whenever that person's, because you can't quite pinpoint, is what I'm gathering, exactly where they're at? Do you have a range? Can you set that range for when a certain address comes in?
So when the initial wizard pops up, it does show you the relative strength of the signal. If that's what you mean by range, is that what you mean by the range? Or are you talking about like or the ID range, like the MAC address range?
Well, just like a proximity, like, so.
Yeah, the signal strength would be the closest thing to that. And it does show like, you know, weak versus like strong signals, and it's, you know, nice green, red, yellow colored, you know, bars. So again, hopefully the average person can understand this. It's not perfect, but it's my attempt at making it to where your average person doesn't accidentally track themselves. You know, that's kind of my attempt at that, at least. But you can also go into the ignore list and remove those devices later on if you find out one of them shouldn't be there. So that's possible as well, or add it later on.
Thank you.
So you going through this whole process, what's been the hardest part about building this app?
What's been the hardest part? All of it. No. So actually, the hardest part, and I still need to fix this, is actually offline address searching. It is really difficult, even though I downloaded like the databases for each state and everything like that. For some reason, it does not, because I try to have it auto search for you and like try and suggest, you know, where the address would be, and it definitely gets it wrong sometimes. Or I've noticed on very rare occasion the address doesn't exist at all for some reason in the database. But then again, these are open databases that I'm just downloading. So I don't know if it's a problem with the database. I haven't like looked that far into it yet, or if it's a problem with my search. And those are, again, future improvements I definitely plan on improving. I actually have those as an issue listed on the GitHub right now, just to make people aware that I know that this is an issue, and I definitely, that is one of the first things I plan on working on. In an online mode, once I allow for like an online mode, that it's not purely offline, and when I allow an online mode, I'm gonna make it to where you can toggle on and off, to where once you're in an offline mode, you don't send any signals, but you also will not get any signals from any new locations or anything else like that as well from other users. Because I plan on making it similar to I guess Waze is I'll just say it, but I plan on making it similar to that as far as like user reporting functions go for like traffic or closed roads or different things like that. So for that kind of stuff to work, it's going to have to be online. Like there's just no way to give you that information unless you're willing to connect to a server and get that information. So when I add those things in there, I think that will be kind of where that comes in, to where it'll be easier to do address searching, because then I'll have a little bit more horsepower than just your phone to do that search function, because it is a little bit slow on the phone. And one of the features I add in there too, and I can show it, is I do have it to where it shows different routes. You can choose different routes to go. You don't have to just choose like the fastest route. It's got fastest, shortest, and avoid the ALPRs. And then each route shows you how many ALPRs or stoplight or speeding cameras are on that route before you select the route. Again, just for situational awareness.
Are you going to put more into the stalker side of the house or the ALPR side of the house?
Mostly the stalker side. The ALPR thing was just like, I've seen other I guess like websites that have that stuff on there, but I haven't seen any. Maybe there is an app and I just didn't look hard enough for it. But like, I don't really care too much about that. To me, it's more about just the situational awareness in general. But yeah, I plan on mostly working on the stalker side, because I think that's where it gets more interesting from an average user perspective. I honestly don't think most people care about the cameras as much as we do. A lot of people here do, but I think they will care more when they see it on the map, and that's part of the reason why, again, I did it this way, because I want people to be aware how many of them there are out there. Like if you go look around USF, is that right? Yeah, USF. There's well, I forget. I don't know. I'm not from here.
USF.
Yeah. Anyways, if you go look around there, there's a ton, a ton. And that's one of the screenshots that I took that I put on the GitHub, because I was like, here you go.
Because like the ALPR stuff, like that's something I'd pay for. The stalker side, I wish somebody would stalk me so then I could knock them out, steal their kidneys, and sell them for a BT9. But
well,
with a suppressor.
For someone like you, I understand. But again, this is
I'm not locked in here with you. You're locked in here with me.
I thought of this mainly for, again, like my wife is like an end user, and I wanted it to be useful for her, especially if she's going to be doing real estate and I'm not going to be with her, or whatever, and she's going to be going around to places with other people. That way, another thing that provides, even in that sense too, for like a position like hers, is now if somebody does do criminal activity around her or whatever, or to her or some shit, then there is a log of that, because their device is probably going to show up. Either their vehicle or their phone or something else is going to show up that would possibly get tracked in that regard as well. So again, this is where I'm kind of like reversing the tables here, of like taking that tracking data and using it for personal use versus just law enforcement use.
Yeah, and then you steal their kidneys and their catalytic converter.
That's on you.
I guess that brings me into the next point, which I noticed that, especially from like a user perspective, I want to say, and if you're not really familiar with the area, you can't just search like Wendy's or McDonald's. Like, it's not going to pop anything up.
Correct. Yeah. I do not have business addresses in there. That's something I've thought about doing, especially for like the online side. But again, you're talking about, that's a whole nother data set that I have to add to the application, and it's already a fairly large app. So everything I add like that is just going to slow it down more and more and more. I've taken steps to try and increase the speed of the app, and I think it's fairly decent for the most part. I think the slowest thing I've seen on there is when you're trying to avoid an ALPR route, when you're choosing one of those routes, and that's a best effort. It's not going to completely always avoid it, and it's based on like distance of a known ALPR. And whenever you add an ALPR from either your discovery or a manual add to the database, it should include that as well to avoid that as well. But it's not. It's a best effort. If you have to drive by one to get to your destination,
steal it.
What he said.
So I don't know if this has been asked yet, but you are talking about like obviously getting it to where you can switch it between online, offline. Is there maybe a hybrid model you could introduce where you could have, either through a Docker container or some sort of server that you could host to essentially online with that server, and then you just connect your own device back to your own server through something like, I don't know, Are you setting up your own SSL?
So
Yeah, SSL.
that is something I considered. I'm still toying with the idea of how I would want the online mode to work, because I'm toying with the idea of either making the online server a P2P server where anybody can download it and then you just toggle on and off what you share with other users. There's a lot of security implications though with that, a lot. So that's where I'm like, do I really want to go down that route? Because that's for me. I did this all by myself, just to be clear, with the help of Claude. So this is just me. I don't have a team working on this or anything like that. So the fact that I even got this working at all is kind of impressive. And I am not an application developer, and I am not an Android app. My last Android application that I developed was in 2014. So it has been a long time. So I have done some Android development before, but none of it was publicly released. It was all just stuff that I just played with myself, just simple stuff. And that, yeah. So I'm toying with that. Do I want to make that a P2P type service? To me, that seems like a lot of extra work as far as security goes. Or do I want just a few centralized servers that it talks to? Again, I got to think that through. Like, what would people actually use, and what would they, what would make it useful? Because again, I think I'm trying to. I would eventually like this to be a standard app that most people use in a sense. Again, because I'm not this. I collect no telemetry data whatsoever. I don't even collect crashes. So if it crashes for you, like, you guys got to let me know. Like, put in a GitHub, issue. Send me an email. The email is listed on the GitHub. Whatever, just let me know, because I do not have a way to track it, because again, I'm trying to allow for maximum privacy for using this. Even when I go into an online mode, my idea is, one, I would never collect any of the like stalker information. That would never be sent to that server in any way, shape, or form. That is locked in the application itself. The other thing I did to protect users who are using this application is it does actually request your fingerprint or your PIN for your phone to unlock the data, because it isn't an encrypted database on the phone. Just again, for extra security, because if you're a person who believes they're being stalked by a significant other, or you are a journalist, or whatever the case may be in that regard, you're probably going to want that there to not just allow anybody access to that data. So just an extra precaution I put into it. I try to think of all the things. Again, I'm just one person here, so that's why I said this was very, very challenging. Way more challenging than what I thought it was. Yeah, if I would have known in the beginning, I may not have even embarked on this endeavor. Go for it.
How many hours would you say you spent on this?
Maybe 160. Somewhere around there, maybe 200. I didn't exactly track, but it took a few weeks. It was about 3.5 weeks, pretty much full time doing it. Probably more than full time, realistically. It might even be closer to 200, because I spent many days working like 16 hours on it straight. Well, looking for a job right now, so if anybody's got one for me, huh? Oh yeah, exactly. I mean, this to me was a learning experience for multiple things. One, I haven't done an Android application, like I said, for a very long time. So I was like, okay, most of any kind of programming I do is just simple scripts, right? I'm not getting too heavy into like 1,000+ lines of code of programming. I studied that in college, and I decided that is not the route that I wanted to go. I just don't have the patience for it. But with the help of some AI assistants, I don't mind toiling. Go ahead.
What is it programmed in?
Catulin.
Yeah, for the.
Catulin. That's the name of the programming language that Android uses. Huh? Kotlin. Maybe, is that what it is? Kotlin. Yes, you're right.
Okay, got it. He still didn't
Sorry.
know what that was. You're
Yeah,
good.
it's what Android is programmed in. They used to be Java.
I was about to say, who's old enough to remember Java?
That's what I did it originally in, because that's what I studied in computer science. So when I last did my last Android application, it was in Java. Yeah, haven't done Java programming though in a very long time. I prefer to stick to Python and Bash these days for the most part.
So you mentioned the stalker use case, and your wife is one of the users you had. Is she using it?
Yeah, she actually does use it.
Some good feedback from it?
Yeah, she helped me do a lot of the testing. You know, obviously I had to drive, so I gave her the phone. I'm like, you're my test case here because you're going to be the end user anyway. So give me some features, and she helped me a lot in that regard because, you know, certain things that, you know, I guess an engineer would understand immediately. That's part of the reason why I included like the strength indicator and you know, showing or giving the ability again to like ignore, you know, like known addresses and stuff like that, because I know someone like her is not going to sit there and go through and individually like ignore all these things, you know, when they show up the first time, if there's not already an initiation wizard that does it for her. Now the good part is once you do that the first time, it doesn't ever pop up again unless you erase all the data on the phone. Then it will reinitialize that. And there is a wipe all button in the settings that does allow you to erase it erases everything except for the maps. Because I figure you probably don't want to erase the map, but you might want to erase data around like stalking or other detections that you've had in case, again, there's like a weird situation where, I don't know, maybe a significant other is potentially the one actually doing the stalking. You know, then you might want to have the ability to erase that. So yeah, I did add that feature in there. Cool, good question. Any other questions? Arj, go ahead. This is good. I love this. I love the interaction here. It's making it easier for me.
Are you eventually planning a desktop like Windows OS version, be it premium, so that the cops can get paid to know when they're being stalked? Because they drive around with laptops.
That would be interesting. I probably wouldn't do it in an application, but maybe like a website, a web portal. You know, you got to pay to get in. It might be an additional feature for some of those folks. I don't mind. Yeah. Good question though. Good feedback too. Any others while we're on this right now? Let me see here. What else do I got? I think I've talked about most of these already on here, just from the questions. Okay, one of the things it does is like it does convoy movements as well. So again, it does do groupings. So if there's like a group, and like if people don't know, I might be giving away some TTPs here, but whatever. I don't work in law enforcement, so I don't really care. But sometimes if you're being followed, they can do this thing where they rotate in and out. So it does track that. So if there's someone that comes into purview, goes out of purview, and comes back into purview within the same session, that's going to show up as like a convoy type situation, that there's multiple people swapping in and out, tailing you. Does that answer that question? Cool. Let me see here, what else? Searches, ALPRs, yep, so I already went over the searching. Persistent scoring to help reduce false positives, searches potential police. Yep, I think I've went over all this already. Okay, so now I'm going to get into the legalese stuff here because, well, I got to protect my hind end. So I'm going to read every single one of these. I am sorry to bore you to death. But, okay, so the purpose of the app. The purpose of the app is to provide, or is provided for educational research and personal privacy awareness purposes only. It is not intended and should not be used to assist in evading law enforcement, violating traffic laws, committing crimes, or interfering with any surveillance or public safety systems. The developer, myself, does not condone or encourage any unlawful use and is not responsible for how a user applies this information or alerts provided. One of the things that I want to add in with the online version, which is great, thank goodness Section 230 is again, this is where it can be a dual sword, just like the public privacy thing. But the reason why other map applications can use user reporting even if those reports are not valid or falsified is because Section 230 basically provides them protection in the sense that they are not the ones actually providing that information. Because since it's user generated, it's no different than somebody doing a post on a social media website basically at that point. So they're not liable for it, and that's where I could get around doing certain things where, again, you add in other cameras that other people have detected or other detections that may pop up. So that's an eventual plan, again. So I released it in an alpha state right now, again, because I already knew there was a bunch of bugs, but I kind of wanted to get it out there just to show, like, one, I think it's an interesting idea in some aspects. I think it kind of, you know, shows that by the interest here as well. But I think there's a lot of interesting use cases for this. So I did want to kind of get it out there and also get feedback immediately because, again, I'm one person and I cannot think of all these things by myself. I tried to, but so yeah, so this is early alpha. Expect bugs, missing features, breaking changes, and do not use this in an emergency. If you need to figure out where a hospital is nearby, pull open a regular map and, you know, go there, please.
How do I know the hospital is not like trying to stalk me or
well,
wiretap or something?
don't worry. They probably are already anyways. They got all that inside the building, so don't worry. They got you covered, literally. Again, so this is not a security guarantee. AegisNav is an awareness tool, education tool, not a security system. It does not guarantee detection of any or detection of all surveillance equipment. Same as stalking, which I probably should add that there, I guess, as well. False positives, it is a detection it uses heuristic-based detections, so false positives are common. Routing accuracy, again, I used OpenStreetMap data and via Grasshopper for routes, so they may be inaccurate or outdated, especially based on when you downloaded it and when I do the next upload, which I probably plan on doing quarterly until, again, it gets into a more permanent state, and then, you know, maybe I can set up something that's automated that does it pretty regularly. But quarterly is my plan right now until it's actually on an app store. Is the phone still going around?
Yeah, I think RJ has
okay,
it right
cool.
now, which means yeah, good luck.
I just want to make sure. I just want to make sure it's still going around. Another thing, Oh, go for it. Camera data, ALPR, red light, speed light data may be inaccurate, outdated, or incomplete, or outdated or inaccurate. I will say the red light camera and the speed cameras are very, very limited. Because I could not find, if anybody knows one, please send it to me, but I could not find a publicly available database that had those in it without paying a lot of money that I wasn't willing to pay unless, again, this becomes a thing.
I mean, how much is it?
It's a few grand.
Because I was about to say the temple would throw money at that if we could open source it, but...
It's a few grand.
Yeah.
For red light cameras?
Yeah, for red light and speed cameras, yeah.
I think there is, like, I've seen publicly available, and I know it is on Google Maps. You can toggle it and have that data.
Right, but I can't steal the data from Google Maps, right? I'm trying to make this legally. Yeah, there's a lot of things I could.
So wait, I can just do stuff now.
There's a lot of things I could do to make this cooler. You know, pulling in data from other applications and such, like reports, but doing so would cross legal and ethical barriers. Yeah. So yeah, I did not do that. Okay, so yeah, laws regarding surveillance detection, electronic device use in vehicles or traffic enforcement aids vary by jurisdiction. You are solely responsible for ensuring your use complies with all applicable laws, federal, state, and local. The developer assumes, again, me, no liability for any legal consequences you may face. There is no warranty, it's provided as is. I put a link to the license. The license is just an MIT license. So technically you could go rip this off and steal it and make it better. If you do, whatever, let me know. Maybe I'll use yours. But good luck, because it was a challenge getting to this point. Again, I got a battery warning in here because it definitely increases your battery usage because of all the background scanning with Bluetooth and Wi-Fi constantly going. The location data, this is stored locally. Again, it never leaves your device currently. This is all offline. I'm receiving no telemetry data at all. Please do not believe me. Go set up, like a Wireshark or something, or Fiddler or whatever, to track the packets. And if there's something going on there, blast me for it. I don't care, because I already know there's not. So, but yeah, just figured I'd throw that out there. That feel free to test. Actually, I would highly encourage testing. I also, I guess, kind of going back to some of the testing I did. I forgot to put it in the slides, but I used Sneak, Mob SF, Truffle Hog, SemGrep, and Lint prior to releasing it to do like the SAS scans and general like code cleanup. So I did do all the proper things you're supposed to do before releasing an application. Didn't do any, let me see here. I didn't do any DAS scanning because there's no DAS to scan. There's no like server to scan from that perspective, because this is just local. So it's just a SAS scan that I did, multiple SAS scans. And then as far as offline mode, all maps, routing, search, and detection features operate completely offline after initial data download. So again, only the initial downloading of the map is required. There is in the settings, you can download other maps, and it does allow for multi-map download. It just doesn't do it. It does it like secret. It does it sequentially. It doesn't do it like all at the same time though. So it is going to download one map at a time, but you can select multiple and start that process there. And then in the settings, it also has a toggle to switch between which map is active. So it will not work across state lines. You'd have to go to the edge of the state and then switch your state and then continue that. Because I figure realistically, most travel is done. It's something in the range of like, I think I seen it was like 95 or 98% within a local geographic area. It's very rarely across state lines for most people, unless you're in like a border city or something. Again, so this is an open source project with no affiliation to any law enforcement agency, camera vendor, or government entity. I did this completely alone. You can download the application here. I'll leave this up for a minute, so if people want to see it. That is my GitHub repo. I got another script on there that would be kind of cool to talk about. I thought maybe eventually, but apparently we're pretty booked for the next few months, which is cool. But I do have another script on there. If you set up Ubuntu servers fairly decently often, like I do, I got lazy about hardening them, and like doing audits of them. So I created like an audit script on there that's also available there, and it runs multiple existing tools like, oh, dang, I'm forgetting the name. Oh, I'll pull it up here in a second. I'll just leave this up for a second though. Let me know when everybody's done with this. Everybody's good? Okay. There we go. So let me switch now to the repo. I'll pull up my other repo real fast. I'm like drawing a blank here. Long day. Yeah, CIS, Linus, and RK Hunter and DebSums, and then also ClamAV if you're doing the deep scan. So it runs multiple scans for you, and it kind of puts it in a report with like a letter grade and also like a 0 to 100, and then it does. It has a script that it creates based on that scan that will give you all of the commands. You can either run the script, which I do not recommend, just to be completely fair and honest, because you'll probably lock yourself out of your system. But but it does give you a script that has all of the code to actually fix all those issues. So you don't need to like go research if you don't know the commands. Again, I'm trying to be smart about this, make it easy for an average person. Anyways, going back to Aegis Nav, this is the repo. This is kind of what it looks like as far as like when you look at the map. I got a dark and a light mode. It does auto change. It's mostly based on lux right now, so like the strength of light, and it's pretty heavily aggressive towards dark mode right now. Probably need to adjust that a little bit. Yeah, but I prefer dark mode, so it's heavily geared towards that right now. This is kind of what the navigation looks, or the search for the navigation looks like right here. It does, as you can see, I had to block out right here because it is giving coordinates, and yeah, I didn't want to obviously dox myself too bad. I'm already doxing myself enough with just showing the city that it's from. Oh, that's fine. The address line is, that's a Walmart. Good. I don't care if you know where Walmart is. I think everybody does. Yeah, this is kind of what I was talking about the multi-map download. So you can select multiple maps and it will give you a check mark there if it's already downloaded for you, and it gives you the size of the files. So the tiles are the actual map itself. The geocoder is for the addresses, and then the routing is, well, for routing. And then this is the toggle that you can select here where you can choose which map is active. What's the largest map? I think California, if I remember correctly. You would think Alaska just based off of pure size, but it's not size based. It's because of all the streets. Like that's where a lot of that data comes in. It's like how many streets. I think California and Texas are the two largest, if I remember correctly. Yeah, so I got I don't know if I can, oh, that's not working. I don't know why that didn't work. Okay. Anyways, I do have a few things so you can turn on and off at least the voice alerts for different things, because I figured out really quickly that can be annoying, especially if you don't care about certain things. Like if you don't care about the surveillance stuff or whatever, or the convoy stuff, you can turn that off. Tried to do that. I got the ignore list you can see here. You can select that. This is kind of what it looks like when you do the routing. For those who, how do I? Okay, well, yeah, so these are like the different routes that you can choose. I just went to like a gas station and kind of started routing from there, so I could kind of be in a public place. But yeah, it does try to avoid it. It's not perfect though. This is kind of showing right here actually where it'll show all the routes to try and avoid like things like the ALPRs. Because I think right here it's showing the route to avoid ALPR, but this one is actually just far enough out of range of what I'm looking for to pick it up on the route. The reason why is because you have to think, how far am I going to make this radius around where you're potentially traveling? If I make it too large, you might get a camera on the street over from you, not the one that you're actually on. So I had to take that into account. Go ahead.
Can you point out the fact that if you repeatedly drive in a route that actively avoids ALPR, that looks very, very, very suspicious, and like
probably
hard drawing attention to yourself.
Probably.
If they can see you, yeah.
Hey,
Danny, what is the motto of our friendship? No face, no case.
You know what?
Well, I'm just saying, you should kind of be aware of it and do that.
I'm aware of it with a hammer.
Well, what was it? Like somebody shared that one video in the chat a few days ago that was like, it's like every person's committing a crime like 3 or 4 times a day or something ridiculous because there's just so many on the books you don't even know about. Yeah. This is what it looks like when there are possible trackers following you or surveillance threats. This is like a continuous one right here. So you can see that this is one that like followed over an extended period of time. It shows the strength right there. And then you can, I think this is a little bit older because the newer ones that I have right here, it actually should have the devices in the group. And you can select the device by holding down on it. And when you do that, it will give you the options to always ignore it or always alert on it. And then these are detections as well for various police equipment. And as you can see, this again does like a correlation thing. So certain devices that are used by law enforcement are not always used strictly by law enforcement. It might be used by like emergency services or just other people in general. Other ones are like 100% guaranteed. And then if you find multiple of them, that's where it gets into like a 75% thing, because you can see there's 2 here or here where there's like one that might be 100, and then you can confirm or deny these, and then those will show up on the map as well. That's another part that I need to fix currently is if you do select yes on one, it just puts it on the map and it doesn't go off of the map. My idea was to have it go, like, be removed from the map automatically after an hour. Again, a future fix. These are kind of like all the features that are in here. Again, this was a lot to think about and go through on my own. And if you want, please buy me a coffee. I think that's it for me, though. Any other questions?
So I think you mentioned Vlog.
Yeah.
Are you
Oh,
using
good.
frameworks to help with that, or is it just straight vibe coding type stuff, or what's your?
Okay. So, good question. I'm glad you brought this up. Okay, because it is pretty much 100% vibe coded. I'm gonna be 100% honest. I don't care. Why? Because this is an offline application. If your phone is already hacked, I don't think this app is going to help you in any kind of way. Again, because you're not sending any data out. And I did, again, like I said, I used multiple SAS scans to check the code itself separately from just, vibe coding it. But what I did was part of the reason why I did this is because I wanted to test out one, vibe coding in general, because I hadn't even done it yet, and I know like everybody's like, oh, it's scary, it's all these bad things. Okay, and then I combined it with even something scarier, and I used OpenClaw to do it as well. So I'm like, oh my God, right? But guess what? Put it in an isolated environment, put it on a device you don't care about that's isolated, and do all the proper system security things, and you're probably going to be okay. I didn't have any issues. Obviously, certain things like supply chain attacks do exist, in that sense. If that's your concern, you probably shouldn't be updating every 5 minutes. Maybe give it a few days so people can do some research on what you're downloading. Unless you're going to do all the code review yourself, which I don't think anybody has the time or patience to code review every single application that they use in their lifetime. It's just not possible. So in some sense, there's got to be some trust there. Yeah, but I did take the proper measures. I will say, just purely vibe coding, I wanted to see how far and how many errors it did come up with as far as like vulnerabilities. And it only had a few actually in there that were all mediums that any of the scans were able to find. And those were quickly fixed based on those reports. So.
Are you saying that they were like low-hanging fruit level?
No, they were just like medium vulnerabilities.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then
There was only like 3 of them, I think.
as the app became larger or more complex, did you have issues making progress at that point? Like, did they grow beyond the scope of the LLM?
No. So this is where it gets really interesting. This is part of the reason why I used OpenClaw to do it, because the memory aspect of OpenClaw was where this comes in, because you can really dial it down into to do certain things. So going back to kind of your earlier question too. So one, I used all open source existing applications that already exist. So like Wiggle's already open source, AirGuard's open source, FlockU's open source, OpenStreetMaps, and Another thing that I added in here for the persistence tracking was it was an application that I seen that came, or a script that came out last year, right after DEF CON or right around DEF CON, called Chasing Your Tail. And it was doing that persistence tracking, but it was a Python script that you got to run on like a Raspberry Pi or something and drive around with that. Good luck getting your significant other to do that. Like, that's just not going to happen, right? And again, so all of these ideas already exist in some manner. So I grabbed all those code repositories, downloaded them locally to my repo, and use those as the basis for it to work off of. So none of this was really done purely from scratch. Some of the tracking methodologies and different things, I added in there as far as, like how that's computated or whatever, or how that is done. But as far as the actual application goes, almost none of it was completely like just mine. It already existed in some manner, and then that just was used as a reference. Because again, that way I'm not doing, it's not completely fresh code in that sense, right? It's mostly reusing existing code. I did it because I was like, why has nobody else done this? Like, why do I got to be the guy to do this type thing? But again, I wanted to do it because I'm like, I want something that my wife would actually use. All those other tools individually are great. They're probably better than this in some manner, but there's nothing that combines them in a user-friendly way. And that's, again, kind of what I went back to. I think you had a question too?
Yeah, legal question. You mentioned collecting that data and having it available if you wanted to pursue somebody for stalking away if you find somebody. Do you find any legal precedent on like whether or not they can tune or reverse and say, hey, Hacker Man was tracking my private cellular data, whatever?
Well, again, that goes back to the public issue. If you're broadcasting that signal, there's no privacy. There's no expectation of privacy there. That's the reason why Wiggle is allowed, right? Or other like Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, like scanners are allowed. Like Kismet, for example. Kismet is completely legal to drive around with that in a Raspberry Pi and pick up whatever you want. From a legal precedent, as far as using in that manner, though, I don't know. Again, I'm not a lawyer, so
right. I don't mind you like anything where somebody did something because like what was it 4 or 5 years ago the Missouri school the F12 hack.
I didn't hear that one.
The schools in Missouri DE something had their teachers' social security numbers in HTML on the website.
Oh.
And the guy who found that was said to be a hacker who was charged for a misdemeanor. The F12 hacker, they viewed source code.
Right.
Okay,
I did hear about that.
They didn't say he was innocent or that it wasn't hacking. They just said we're not going to waste taxpayer money.
I mean, I think that'd be a little different though, because that's dealing with like PII.
But
right.
It was already on their website. He
Well.
hit view HTML and there was socials. It was like base 64 or something.
Yeah. No, I mean, I agree with you in that sense. I mean, I think it's kind of silly to charge somebody for that.
Right.
But.
So like my question would then be like, would then Pasco's DA be like, oh, this guy has.
I don't think there's precedent for it, to be honest.
You don't need to be guilty for them to put you in cuffs.
You could try to sue you if you're big enough parent for anything.
Yeah. Well, and that's the reason why I put all these legalese on here, exactly like what he said, because
You don't have a lawyer on retainer.
I don't have a lawyer on retainer. I don't have anything to give either if you sue me, so. Yeah, good luck. Yeah, cool. Any other questions? Should I show my other repo now, or did I kill the time already? Actually, I did pretty good. Cool. I did really good. Okay. So I guess I'll leave it at vote. Do we talk about the other repo, or do we close it here?
Show the repo. Release the repo.
Okay, it's here too. It's just Ubuntu sec audit. Again, there's like a simple scan standard mode. I did not create any slides for this because I didn't expect to do this. It again looks for a lot of basic stuff in here for the standard check. It's looking to see if you have like UFW enabled or any kind of like IP table firewall rules. It's looking for open ports or deprecated services like FTP Telnet. Like Telnet still comes installed on Ubuntu. Why are you using that? Like, come on, use SSH. It's not enabled, yeah, but it's still there, right? So a threat actor, you know, again, this is just another vector that, you know, if they gain access to the system, could use, right? Not that they couldn't use SSH, but anyways, yeah, so those are kind of just things I put on there. Plus, just remove it. It's just bloat at that point. It does some SSH hardening, so it looks for like root login, password, what ciphers are being used. It's also looking if there's like no password, plain text passwords. It's looking at the permissions for Etsy Shadow, your SSH config, etc. It's looking for app armor, see if you got that set up. It does some kernel hardening stuff, core dumps, cron, schedule, cron security, checks see if you have like login banners already set up, secure boot enabled, a few other things like that. It's looking for also journal D persistence to make sure that those aren't being put into a temp folder and evaporate on every single reboot. NTP sync, grub bootloader password, again to make sure you got your password set up everywhere. The deep mode is where it kind of gets interesting, and this is where, again, you can, this is where it gets really cool because it does like the rootkit scan, the antivirus, it runs the Linux audit on there, and it's looking for additional things like insecure mounts and unknown files, world writable files and directories, different things like that. When you run that, it does need to be run as sudo, or just for your awareness, if you try and run it without sudo, it's not going to work. It also, if you don't have these tools installed, will ask you if you want to install them during the process of the initial scan or whatever, the first time you run the scan, and it outputs a script at the end. It outputs a report and a script. The script, you can just run the script if you really want to, and it's going to try and fix all of these things. Again, it is probably going to lock you out of your system because it is going to change certain things like the SSH config and different things like that. So if you just blindly run this, it's probably going to be a bad day for you. Plus, it might block other things from working, like USB drives. So if you want your USB drive to work, probably don't just go run this script. But but you can go look through the script that it outputs, and you can go look through the report that it outputs, and it outputs all of the commands to fix each one of these issues that it finds. Directly for your system, it takes into account your actual full pathway that's required to fix those issues. So yeah, kind of just did that because I'm like, I set up servers all the time, and I don't want to deal with this. Yeah, you had a question?
Yeah, is there anything besides like maybe apt install that's Debian specific, or?
That's all I got it for right now.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
is there anything besides the apt install that's Debian specific, or is it all of
It-
Linux stuff?
It's just all Debian specific. Like the whole thing, it's all apt.
Right, right. And besides the like installing the app, because like if I run AppArmor on Fedora or Arch.
Yeah, it's not going to work for that. Like I did not test it for Fedora or Arch or any of that kind of stuff. It's only tested for Ubuntu. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like it's only, I have not tested it for any other system. I have tested it and ran this myself. Like I use this myself because I don't want to sit there and go look up all these commands that I need to do every single time, because I'm not going to remember all this stuff every single time. I'm not that much of a wizard by any stretch of the imagination. Yeah, I know what to do. I may not know how to do it. And this is kind of this tells me how to do it type thing, because I just try to make it easy. If you have issues with it or anything like that, let me know. I have not ran into anything other than, again, like the script that it outputs. Don't just blindly run it unless you're just trying to see what it's going to do, you know, but don't do it on an actual production system. That's going to be a bad day for you. Yeah. It's SecOps X Sayan, SAIYAN.
Is this in the Discord already?
No, not this one, but the other one is. The Aegis Nav is. So you can click on that one and go up a directory. But, yep. Cool. Any other questions regarding this script I did? And again, I actually created this like kind of as like a, yeah, I just wanted to make something fast to kind of spin up servers in a secure way.
I put both of them in event discussion.
Oh, you're awesome. Thank you, sir. Cool. I'm gonna stop sharing now. We good?
It's not over there anymore. Oh, okay.
I stopped the stream, Chris.
All right.